Hello and welcome to Futbol Fridays here on KBPK. My name is Ryan Osborn and I'm joined by Joseph Pavlenko as we get set for this afternoon, this evening, tonight's matchup here on KBPK, where it will be the Fullerton College Hornets getting set to take on the Orange Coast Pirates. So once again, I am Ryan Osborn, joined by Joseph Pavlenko. As we get set for this matchup, Joe, you take a look at what you saw last week, a Fullerton College team that could best be described as dominant.
Yeah, after a couple of the matches we've seen, after the Fullertons on a couple matches pulling ahead to an early lead, it was really good to see them keep that momentum throughout the game and finish it up with a clean sheet, if I'm not mistaken.
You are correct. They ended up with a 4-0 victory last week. And for Fullerton, they're looking to expand on that. Once again, Fullerton College entering this matchup as one of the top teams, not just in the state of California, but in the United States as well. They are ranked #1 in the state of California and ranked in the top 5 in the nation, according to the United States Soccer Coaches Poll. And it's significant for this Hornet football team because they have not been in this type of position in quite some time. But, Joe, you look at how this coaching staff for Fullerton under Greg Aviles and Kenny Castellanos has continued to bring them a lot of success. They're turning this into a legacy.
Yeah, they are. This is, again, lots to be expected from this Hornet squad. Always a dominant force, at least in the last 3 to 4 seasons. You're in my memory, Ryan. Last year making it to postseason, and I think most seasons previous making it to the postseason. So it's good to see them, as the season marches on, continue to dial in both their defense and the offensive side of this team.
And one thing that has been oh so impressive, you mentioned the fact that Fullerton College continually seems to be cranking out playoff appearances. There's only been one season that they have missed the playoffs under Coach Greg Aviles. So for the rest of the way, Fullerton has been in the postseason, if not in the second round of the postseason. As we are underway here live from the Fullerton College Scherbeck Field here on the northwest, or shall we say northeast corner of campus here at Fullerton College. Floated over towards the corner. Are we going to have our first corner kick of the game? We will indeed. We'll get you the starting lineups in just a couple of moments as Orange Coast looks to set themselves up as quickly as possible. Fullerton College will be going from left to right, and attacking from right to left will end up being the Orange Coast College Pirates. Orange Coast with Keita Takahashi as the goalkeeper here tonight. They'll be joined by Jack Chapman and Steven Garcia. Ball swings towards the middle. It's popped up into the air, and away it will fly. Goes off the head of Sevillano, and he sees that one go back towards the touchline, where it will go out off of a Fullerton College defender, an Eicherman, and it will land out of play. So throw-in coming up for the Pirates as we continue with the starting lineup. Devin LeClaire and Grayson Marquez. Saif Shaker will be out there with Bradley Kirkman and Meyer Son. Landon Clark with Nico Pacheco and Floresta Damiano. That is the lineup for the Orange Coast Pirates as they look for a quick toss-in. Lots of run to this one. Goes over towards the penalty marker. Back bump, still inside the box. And finally, it is cleared by the Hornets high into the air. Fullerton College with Misael Gonzalez trying to get the attempt over to a teammate on a diving Marquez. Marquez can't catch up to it, and it will be retained by the Pirates. All the way back to Takahashi, and Takahashi floats this one high in the air, now near the touchline. It will go all the way to the far side, where it will be picked up by Evan Yole. Yole with Sevillano. Good to see Nathan Giles back in there for Fullerton College. One of the best Hornets so far this season. Lots of pace to his play as it's taken away by Grayson Marquez. Marquez back to Sevillano, and Sevillano says, hey, let's get a reset in here with Yole. At the top, Misael Gonzalez. He gets the start, as always, for Fullerton College, along with Juan Luis Quintana. They're also joined by Brian Aragon as well. Joining them in the starting lineup is Cesar Marquez as we continue our way back for the Hornets. Here's Misa. Misa from 20 yards away. There's a leading pass, a nice ball. And Marquez was there along with Misa on the attack, and they're going to earn a corner out of this. Finishing up the lineup for Fullerton, Aldo Ramirez. Out there joined by Nathan Giles, as we mentioned just a few moments ago. Diego Duenas is back in the starting lineup with Evan Yole, Garrett Eicherman, and finishing up things for Fullerton will be Brian Aragon, who runs out to take the corner as well. Duenas inside the box. Yole at the far post. He's going to take a run towards the corner. Now turns around, tries to back bump it, but that one gets cleared away. As Grayson is there, he'll send it out far side, so a throw in this time for Fullerton College. Both of these two teams trying to set things up early. And if you're Fullerton College or a Fullerton College fan, you know that this is a team for the Hornets that likes to be able to get themselves on the board in the first 5 minutes of play and work from there. Here's a chance on the volley that goes wide and left. A chance for Aragon, but he has it just over hit off to the left, and it will come up for a goal kick.
Yeah, you know, on that corner kick, Ryan, that's something that we've seen consistently almost all season from the Hornets. They take that kick, and I don't know about you, but I never really get the feeling that the opposing team's ever in dire straits or in some sort of danger when the Hornets take that corner.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of tough treading for Fullerton College coming off the corner. So far, what we have seen in our Futbol Fridays, we have only seen one goal come off of a set corner play for the Hornets, and that, if I remember correctly, was in that matchup against Irvine Valley College. A chance as Misa has to wait for it. He would have been offsides if he catches up to that in time. But the rest of the way, we haven't necessarily seen a lot of high danger chances coming off that corner. That's something that if you're the Hornets, you want to be able to change, so that way it gives you more of a chance to expand where your offense is going to come through. Yes, we already know that Misa has the legs to be able to catch up to the ball. Brian Aragon has a very sweet, accurate right leg that he's able to use for high danger opportunities. But you've got to be able to create offense off of those corners to give you another chance to say, hey, we don't just attack off the rush. We are able to get that secondary scoring when the ball is placed. We'll see if the Hornets are able to change that in this one. Mentioned a few moments ago, Nathan Giles back into the starting lineup for the Hornets, along with Garrett Eicherman as well. High up into the air, the Pirates try and set something down. Here's Aragon. Aragon with a sweet pass, a ball into open space, but it gets intercepted twice. Now Misa. Misa on the chase. He's going to try and get to it in time. Just misses. As getting there in time before Misa will be Takahashi, and Takahashi says, hey, let's settle things down here, guys, and he'll bring it forward.
Great vision, control, and even restraint from Misael Gonzalez. You saw him bring his foot up, real eager to try to make contact and turn that into something, but able to pull that foot back in because, hey, the keeper was there.
Here's Misa off the one touch. Now with Brian Aragon. Aragon, little floater. Side spun, now to Misa. Misa catches up before it gets into the corner. He's got a left foot this one towards the middle. It clangs around for a second. Here's Aragon on the drop pass. A shot is taken, and very nearly Cesar Marquez getting the opening goal here. But the save is made, and Fullerton College is not able to get that opening marker that they're trying to get on the board. Giles watching on. Goes over to Yole. Yole. Back to Giles. Both teams play a little bit of volleyball here.
No, that's Wednesdays at KBPK.
If you are watching online and you think to yourself, wait a minute, Wednesdays? Did I miss something? Well, water polo Wednesdays, and also we have Fullerton College women's volleyball on Wednesdays here on KBPK. Lots of live sports here from Fullerton College for you to kind of keep up to date with the Hornets, and then also get yourself a little bit more familiar with all the different programs here on campus, as this is a quick dive on the right-hand side, picked up by Landon Clark. Clark was trying to continue his run there, but got it poked away. And we're going to have a foul on the far side where Shaker is going to get called for it. Shaker coming back. Called for the foul, and he will end up watching on as the Hornets place it down. Fullerton right at midfield. Misa gets taken to the floor, and the Hornets will set up their offense. One of the best seasons in Fullerton College history, even if the season ended today. That's how good Fullerton College has been over the last month and a half of play. They continue to have an unbeaten streak. Remember, it would be a very long winning streak if not for that 3-3 draw against Irvine Valley College. But Fullerton has just continued to go through their competition, and not only just the Orange Empire Conference, but also the state as well. Backspin floater, right-hand side. Misa working against one, working against two. He gets boxed out, but still ends up with the ball somehow. Here's Misa on this right-hand side, poked away. Beautiful job there by Jack Chapman, the 6-foot freshman out of Edison High School, with a great piece of defending there. The Hornets have it on the inside. Marquez takes a shot off the bounce, and it deflects off of two different people. Most notably, it goes off of Meyer Sod, and Sod will see that go out of play. So corner kick coming up for Fullerton College, and the Hornets at the moment, Joe, look like they are continuing to get their attack going in the early frames. We're just a shade under 10 minutes gone here in the first half. High spun over towards the penalty marker. That's going to be a foul on Nathan Giles. He ends up getting locked up on the backside with Nico Pacheco. And Pacheco ends up getting taken down, and the Hornets will lose possession.
It's not often you see a team come out here, at least with how Fullerton's played this season, most of it, some of last season, that come out here and almost bully the Hornets, which looks like the Pirates are out here playing a little bit more aggressively tonight.
You mentioned that aggressiveness. That's got to be the key to success for anyone if they want to face the Hornets. No offside flag here as Misa has it on the inside. Beautiful job. Textbook, if you will, from Landon Clark, getting back and making sure that he's able to walk Misa into the extra help and take the ball away. But on the inside, the Hornets try and get themselves up to this as this goes past the end line. The attack will end as it will be a goal kick. So goal kick coming up off the right foot. High up into the air, into the Fullerton night sky. Just beneath the Brea Olinda Hills here as this floats on the near side, and we'll go for a throw-in for Fullerton College. Giles, right-hand side, trying to find someone off of a run, and it will be a goal kick.
It was an interesting choice for a throw-in.
You know, I think he thought that he was going to have a teammate going towards the corner, and both guys there in Quintana and Gonzalez kind of looked at him and said, hey, man, that wasn't what our thought was. We weren't on the same page of the textbook. And both guys watched that one go all the way down. Aragon battling with Brady Powell. Powell finds someone. Powell now to Damiano. Damiano working against Eicherman. Eicherman comes back with the angle, and he's able to take it away to Aldo. But it's taken right back and just off the awaiting foot of Shaker. And for Saif Shaker, Saif is kind of felt or had his presence felt on the far side of the park. He's got two takeaways in that far corner and has forced two different throw-ins. They're going to have success. It's kind of like what you're talking about, Joe. They've got to be aggressive, and maybe Saif is the type of guy that they can go to and say, hey, help us get some offense here. Giles on a full sprint. Past the Swarm City logo, sees that one popped out of bounds, and it will go past the touchline. Grayson Marquez has it go off of his ankle. And another goal kick coming up. Orange Coast and Fullerton, no score. 31:40 on the clock left in the first half of play between these two sides. Here's Giles. Giles going all the way down to Misa. Misa on the inside. Misa on the turnaround. Does that get deflected out? It does. And we will have ourselves a goal kick coming up. So a dangerous chance there off the throw-in from Nathan Giles, and he is able to get himself and his team a corner. Now Fullerton is going to change things up. They usually have Brian Aragon taking set pieces and corners because he has 2 goals off of them. But in this case, they're going to bring up Garrett Eicherman. Back towards Giles. Giles will see this one cleared away. Saif chases after it. He's got Duenas directly in front of him, and Duenas says, let's poke it all the way back where it will go to Ryan Moreno Rojas. So Moreno Rojas. Now over to Quintana. Quintana gets that one taken away. Back heel, Giles. Is he able to box someone out? He does, but he's battling with Grayson Marquez. And Marquez will see this one go out, and a throw in now for OCC. OCC bringing up Bradley Kirkman. Looks like we may get our first substitution of this one. Love the uniform matchup between these two sides. Fullerton College in the all-navy blues with white numerals. And on the other side for OCC, they are in the all-white uniforms with orange to them. Here's Saif, a shot, and that one caroms all the way into the arms of Moreno Rojas. So entering the game is Hope Saito. Saito will watch this one go over to Duenas. Duenas, little poker over to Aldo. Aldo sees his pass intercepted, but Marquez takes it away. He's got numbers if he hurries. Looking for someone, now Misa, but Aragon turns this one over. Aragon refines it off the deflection. Popped all the way back towards midfield, and it will find Sevillano. Aragon on the chase. Now back to Aldo. Kirkman right behind him. Brady Powell also in the area as well. Lots of international products on this OCC squad. Different areas of the world represented. Japan a couple of times. In addition to Egypt as well with Saif. South Africa twice. And Madrid, Spain too. So very diverse roster when it comes to all over the world coming to OCC to get a chance to play collegiate soccer in the state of California. And Joe, it really kind of speaks to just how well known the Orange Empire Conference is, not just in the state of California, but all across the world as well, as there will end up being a card on the far side. We'll see who this goes against. It looks like it's going to go against Fullerton.
You know, that seems like a thing that's true in quite a few sports here in the Orange Empire Conference, Ryan. I hear about softball being just this is a tough conference to be in. I hear football, tough conference to be in. Basketball, tough conference to be in.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, because you mentioned football as well. Obviously, Fullerton College football and Fullerton College football now playing on the same field for the remainder of the foreseeable future. This is up to the top of the box. It will be there for Sevillano. Sevillano cuts it off, and Aragon brings it back to Quintana. But back in the day when the Orange Empire Conference did have football, they actually were some of the best in the entire nation in terms of conference and national championships. Fullerton College, of course, had 3 national championships while a part of the OEC. Santa Ana with a couple of national titles as well. Back in the day, a bunch of teams across the Orange Empire Conference that we see in other sports like soccer, like volleyball, like softball, had football programs, and they were winning national titles, conference titles. And it's the question that really needs to be studied is it the region? Is it the level of just how well the coaching staffs have been in this area and have been in the OEC? Is it just a testament to the region and how well different athletes come out of this region? And just overall, so many different variables as Fullerton College ends up finding themselves with a set piece. Aragon actually isn't going to take this one. Little bit of a surprise there as Aragon does have a set piece goal. He got that one in the matchup against Cuyamaca. This will be Cesar Marquez. Guillen in goal. Watching on Marquez, 4-person wall, little poker. He's got it! 1-0 Fullerton College. The decision is beautiful from Aragon and Marquez. They had a quick conversation. Marquez steps up and he scores.
I was going to say, a little bit of a change of pace, Ryan. Normally, and unfortunately, if you're a Hornet fan, you've seen the Hornets be given the kick on them. So the opposing team is taking that kick. And that's where more goals than I think you and I would have liked to see be scored this season. But it's a part of the game. It's something that happens, and that's why it's such a trade-off to make a dangerous tackle that deep into your opponent's field.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, because who other than Misael Gonzalez to earn that set piece there for the Hornets? And you just look at the way that Fullerton College is able to approach those type of things. I mean, you saw it there just for a second. It was just Marquez and Aragon, quick conversation, 2 to 3 words at max, and it was decided that Marquez would take it. And Marquez, it wasn't one of those barn-burning screechers that he sent into the top right-hand corner, Joe. It was more just a little floater that had enough bend and caught just the perfect amount of air to find the top right side.
Well, and that's where you want to be this deep into your season, right, Ryan? You want to be able to give your teammate a look, exchange a few words, and go, you know what? I've been with this guy. We're on this journey through this season, and I trust him.
That trust pays off, just like hard work does, from what I hear. But Fullerton College is able to get that trust into a 1-0 lead. See, I dropped in the cliche. That was for Mark Pavlovich. Far side of the field, it goes out of play. But in the 21st minute, in the first half of play, Fullerton College gets themselves on the board. Cesar Marquez, off the free kick, is able to score for the Hornets. And for Marquez this season, so far he's had a lot of chances and a lot of different opportunities to get himself on the board, but has just not been able to get as many finishes as he would like. That's his 3rd goal of the season. He now has 7 points. And you look at guys like Aragon, you look at Marquez, you can't just look at it from the traditional sense and say, okay, let me look at the point totals between these 3 guys. You have to look at the overall impact that they have on the game. Drop ball as an injury happens far side of the park. and Fullerton maintains possession. But you have to look at that impact that we're talking about, spacing-wise. Do they open? Do they create? Are they playmakers? What impact do they have on the Fullerton College offense? And you look at guys like Marquez, you look at guys like Aragon, and you say it's almost immeasurable just based on how dangerous they're able to make things for others, like Hayden Kenny, like Misael Gonzalez, because of how well they open up space. And, as we just saw there, they are quite dangerous when given the opportunity off of a set piece. Speaking of danger, OCC with a chance. Here's Shaker getting right past the goalkeeper, and he'll have an opportunity to go inside the box. Still getting hassled there. No call coming. He hits the deck. OCC unhappy with the non-call, and there is no penalty whistle as Fullerton College tries to go on to the attack. The Hornets, far side of the park. They've got Marquez. Marquez, little chipper, goes over to Misa. Misa, he's got a guy. He takes the shot, and Guillen is able to make the save. Joe, you just imagine the emotion that would have gone on the other side of the field if Fullerton College would have come down and scored on that after the non-call inside the box.
Yeah, and I mean, you even saw some of the OCC players taking advantage, probably with the thought of, hey, if the ref isn't going to call that call for Fullerton, then, I'm going to take some liberties while trying to stop this attack that's being brought on our side of the field.
Yeah, it's just that human nature portion or human nature aspect that comes out because it's like you mentioned, right? You look at it and you say, hey, if they're not going to call it on this side, well, I'm going to go and make sure that this dangerous attack doesn't end up coming to fruition of anything. But the ball doesn't go in. Misa gets his first shot or I should say second shot, first shot on goal. And the save is made by Guillen. Left-hand side into some open space, relieving some pressure is Duenas. Fullerton turns it over, and it gets skied back over towards Yole. Yole, dangerous pass right in front of Grayson Marquez, and they'll bring it all the way back to Marino Rojas. Marino Rojas. Little drop step. Now for Yole, too far out in front of him. OCC tries to keep it, but instead it ends up going to Marquez. Marquez spinning out of traffic with Duenas. Nice play into some open space for Giles, but on the full sprint, Giles just ends up watching that one go past the touchline, and it will go out of play. So a throw-in coming up for Orange Coast College, and the Orange Coast College Pirates will bring this one in on the near side of the park. Fullerton College 1, Orange Coast 0, with just under 19 minutes to play in the first half. Brian Osborn, Joseph Pavlenko joining you live on KBPK on Futbol Fridays, as we bring you live action of Fullerton College soccer each and every Friday. Here's Misa, left-hand side. Didn't look like he got all of it that he wanted, but nonetheless a dangerous opportunity for the Hornets as they work with some one-touch space, and they get another shot on goal. Ball goes past the touchline on the far side. Fullerton will get possession back. But, Joe, all it takes for the Hornets, and you and I have talked about this en masse, but all it takes for this offense is just 1, 2, 3 passes at the most to get themselves from one side of the field to the other side and have a dangerous scoring chance.
Yeah, and something else that we've talked about a lot this season is what one goal can do, what one penalty, one foul can do to your side, changing the momentum of the game, changing the flow of the game, and that sort of thing. And it looked like getting one on the board is what it took for Fullerton College to really get that engine to turn over and put on some aggression. Or pressure, I guess I should say.
No, you're absolutely right with the aggression, I would say as well, because you look at the Orange Empire Conference as a yellow card will be given on the far side of the park as Orange Coast finds themselves in a little bit of a collision there. And it looked like, at least to me, it was Floresta Damiano who got it. We'll get confirmation at the half that it was in fact him. But for the moment being, we believe it was Floresta Damiano. Damiano out of Spain Madrid, specifically the 5'8" freshman. But there is a lot of aggression in the Orange Empire Conference. It's a different play style. I mean, Joe, just look at the play style from that Cuyamaca matchup that we saw versus the last 3 times that we've seen the OEC. A lot more physical, a lot more, or actually I should say a lot less open space to work with, as this will be a goal kick coming up. And teams just get up to the other person as fast as possible versus the open play that was pre-conference play. OCC enters this matchup on a 2-game win set. They're trying to get themselves back into the win column and continue to stay there, looking for their first 3-game winning streak of the season. Just the overall record doesn't really represent as well as this Orange Empire, or excuse me, OCC team has played. Here's Marquez. Little popper into open space. Goes all the way back to the box, and OCC dumps it out looking for the throw-in. But you look at OCC, I mean, they're beating teams that have looked good in the Orange Empire Conference. Santa Ana, they beat them with a 3-2 final, and then Santiago Canyon as well with a 4-2 final. Last matchup for the Orange Empire, or excuse me, the Orange Coast College Pirates. They were able to get 2 in the first half of play, 1 in the second half to seal it. This one goes all the way to the near side to Misa. Misa, marked by 2 different guys. It will go out. Brian Aragon to chase it. But Floresta Damiano, Saif also got 1 in the first half. Both of those 2 guys getting them on the board. And then Makaula in the 79th minute, giving them the game winner. There would be 2 late goals by Santa Ana College, but OCC was able to hang on due to the work that they had put in that first half. And the game winner goes to Makaula. Here's Marquez. Eicherman, corner, didn't end up working for the Hornets. Here's Eicherman, left-footed floater. Back over to Sevillano, clangs around at the top of the box, and finally gets cleared away from the semicircle. Saif, off the right foot, tried to chip that one into some open space on the right side of the park. Nathan Giles watches on as this one goes over to Marquez. Marquez trying to keep it in. He does keep it away from the end line, but it will be a very deep throw-in for Orange Coast. Fullerton's last substitution ended up being Neil Sanchez, as Sanchez enters for the Hornets. What Sanchez brings is a lot of physicality and also some speed to his game. You see Sanchez on the slide tackle there. He's the one who gets up to it, and Sevillano will toss it in. Sevillano, along with Brian Aragon, sees that one go out, and it will be a throw-in for Bradley Kirkman. A host of substitutions entering for the Fullerton College Hornets, as it looks like it's going to be Kyle Sherman in addition to Hugo Galeana. Galeana with Hayden Kenny to enter as well as Alexis Tamayo. All 4 of those guys on the near side of the park. They'll enter at the next break for these 2. High up into the air, it's not going to stay in bounds enough for Orange Coast to catch up to it. On the chase there was Makuala. Out of St. Peter's College. Gives a lot of offense. Makula sees this one. Over to Aragon. Aragon to Misa. Misa off the bottom spike. Little poker. Goes to Marquez. Marquez switches up the speed. Ends up having it go off of him. No, it will end up being a corner. So Fullerton earns their 3rd corner of this matchup. And the previous two didn't end up leading to terribly dangerous chances, we'll say, for Fullerton. And the question, if you are a Hornet fan, is how does this specific corner kind of change things up for Fullerton? Aragon takes a seat, and it will be Tamayo who enters for him. One at a time go the Hornets. Bumped up. It's there for Sevillano on the back pedal. Doesn't end up going to the Hornets as it will be taken away by OCC. OCC in the clear. Little chase down there for Arcega. He takes a shot and it ends up going up and high. And Joe, that was a very close play to bringing out either a yellow or even a possibly red. Not because of anything overly obnoxious in terms of contact, but because the Fullerton College defender there in Evan Yole reaches back onto the collar of Arcega as he's going over to attack on that ball. And if he's in the clear and pokes him back off of a clearing or a clear scoring chance, that's usually where you'll see a red come out and the other team has to play with 10.
You know, I don't know why he reached up for that collar, though, Ryan. From where I was standing, he was getting beat in the foot race. OCC was ahead of the Hornets almost that entire play. I really think if he would have let him have it, it should have been an offsides call, unless I missed something on the field. You
know, initially, that's what I thought was going to happen. I was waiting for the flag to go up. But here's the question, Joe. If you're the attacker on the other side, as this will end up flying all the way to the right, going near side to the corner where the Pirates will pick it up. Left-footed down towards the middle. It's still inside the box. A chance. No shot there. It will end up deflecting off the Hornets. And it looked like it went off the foot of Sevillano and out of play. And the Pirates will get a corner out of it. But the competitor in you says, hey, stay on your feet, keep trying to go on the attack, get a shot away as quickly as possible. But also there's that little, devil on the left-hand shoulder is what they call it, that says, hey, if I go to the floor here off of that collar tug, we're going to end up playing against a team with 10 men the rest of the way. So it's kind of that mental check and balance of what are the pros and cons of continuing this attack versus stopping it. And it ends up that shot ends up going high and wide, but OCC goes right back on to the offensive. Makaula on the inside. Joined there by Jack Chapman and Brady Powell as well. They watch on, as does Arcega. Arcega just outside the box. He's going to be marked by Tamayo. Everyone moving around. Backswinger, and it ends up curling around the end line, and it will be out for a goal kick. Interesting thing there, Joe, is that ball lands in play near side the post, but they call it down because the arc of the ball, the spin of the ball, actually goes past the end line and out.
Your eyes are much better than mine. I did not see any of that from up here in the broadcast booth.
What makes that play, or I should say non-play, what makes it a non-play is that the official on the far side of the park in the corner lined himself up with the end line just to make sure that didn't have the opportunity to go across the end line and cut back into open play. Watching it on, and Fullerton will see this one go past. It will be a throw-in, a foul against OCC. Under 10 minutes to play here in the first half between Fullerton College and Orange Coast. Line pass to the near side. There you see Kyle Sherman. Sherman now to the middle. Popped down. Jack Chapman was there. Akula there as well, trying to pressure Sevillano. Sevillano, of course, all-conference, all-state type player for Fullerton College. Here's Duenas. One touch over to Galeana. Now to Hayden Kenny. Back to Galeana. Left-footed. Far side of the park where Marquez will keep the play alive for the Hornets. He's trying to spin back to his right. A very deep throw-in coming up for Fullerton College. 7 minutes exactly left in this one, entering the 38th here in the city of Fullerton, where Fullerton College is on the board first. In the 21st minute, Cesar Marquez, off of a set piece from just outside the box, is the one who ends up getting things going for Fullerton offensively. And the Hornets continue to lead it 1-0. Want to thank everyone who's joining us live here on KBPK. Ryan Osborn, Joseph Pavlenko, seeing this one up into the air. It's still inside the box, and Guillen will take over. Under 6.5 to play in the first 45. This is arced all the way back to the Hornets side of the field. It will go off of Sherman and out. And a deep throw in for Fullerton College as they get set, or excuse me, for Orange Coast College, as the Pirates try and go back on the attack. The Pirates so far this season actually outpacing Fullerton in shots overall. No clearance there for Fullerton. Into the sky it goes. Is that going to be a penalty? No, that will be 1 yard outside the box. Directly down the middle, inside the semicircle, and now a set piece is coming up for Orange Coast, as they will have a chance to even things up from even closer than where Fullerton was for their chance.
It looks like we had some words exchanged between the two squads as the referee was placing the ball.
And that's something that you'll see a lot more in conference play, especially in the Orange Empire Conference, because, Joe, simply these teams face each other twice a year. So if you spend 3 years at one of these two colleges, 2 in play, 1 as a redshirt, you're very familiar with the other side by the time that you are done. Chance off the right foot, goes off the post. A chance for Floresta Damiano, and Damiano just ends up missing the tire. Aldo swings it right back in. Here's a shot that lines its way in 3 hops over to Marino Rojas. .420 on the clock. Fullerton College leading it 1-0. Taken down for the Hornets is Alexis Tamayo. Tamayo will watch this one go to Sherman. Sherman now to Kenny. Kenny trying to backshift it to his right foot, but that doesn't end up working. Drop to Saad, and Saad will see that one go down to Guillen. Guillen can take control of it, and with under 4 minutes to play in the first half, a very quick first half, Joe, because we haven't really seen the clock need to stop or get that additional time.
Yeah, and a bit of a contradictory statement here. A quick first half, but a feel of a slow start for the Hornets.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that. I think what you kind of saw in the first 45 so far, at least, is that proverbial feeling out process between these two sides, where they're trying to explore what either side's defense and midfield is going to give them throughout the entire night, just kind of expanded. It never left both of these two. We never saw either team really have as much of an attack as they would like. Speaking of attacks, here's a chance with a shot just parried away for a second. Oh, what a save by Ryan Marino Rojas. Unreal chance there. And they might actually say that was popped up over top of the net. It was a bouncing shot on the right-hand side that kind of caught him off guard initially. He pops it over to his right where it lands onto the foot of Grayson Marquez, and Marquez has it go off the top of his foot over the goal and out of play for a goal kick.
Once again, some great recovery. We saw him earlier in the game, kind of caught a little bit out of position. He moved up a little further. Couldn't backpedal quite as quick as the attacking team was making a move on the goal, but thanks to his back line also being on their toes, they were able to kind of let him get back into position, and then great recovery here after the first save as well.
Grayson Marquez trying to keep things rolling for the Pirates. He gets the ball for a second. It goes all the way back to Tamayo. Tamayo does turn it over and brings it right back to the Pirates. You mentioned things rolling for OCC. It seems like ever since their last 3 substitutions have come in, it's a different offense for the Pirates. They're forcing the issue, and much like Fullerton College has so far this season, they're just kind of throwing it up towards their top 3 forwards and saying, hey, go get us some open space.
Yeah, well, and especially, you get some fresh legs in. You're in the last few minutes of the game as that came dangerously close to the broadcast box. You're in the last few minutes. I think we're potentially in stoppage time here, Ryan.
We are indeed. You are correct.
And so you really want to put one on the board. You don't want to go back to the locker room up 1-0. Or down 1-0, I should say. If you're the Hornets, you definitely want to go to the locker room up 1-0.
Off of Hayden Kenny that went. Fullerton trying to get themselves back onto the board just before the half expires. Ball went through the box across the cage, and Kenny tried to keep it alive, but just wasn't able to do so. And now it will be picked up by Guillen. 6'1" out of Fontana Valley, or excuse me, Fountain Valley. Fontana Valley and Fountain Valley would be 2 very different things. Deflected over to Tamayo. Tamayo does keep possession. Pressure there. Now over to Sherman. Sherman's going to pick it up. He's got someone directly behind him where it will be Neil Sanchez. Sanchez, little floater, trying to find someone down the middle. A chance for Galeana, but that will do it for the first half of play. Fullerton College 1, Orange Coast 0, as we finish 45 of play between these two sides, and Fullerton got their chance off of a set piece, and they take the lead 21 minutes in from Cesar Marquez, who approached the ball ever so slightly and just placed it perfectly to give him and the Hornets the 1-0 advantage. Ryan Osborn joined by Joseph Pavlenko here on the broadcast on KBPK. And once again, Fullerton College with the 1-0 lead. They continue their unbeaten streak that they currently have. And Joe, you look at that first half of play between Fullerton and Orange Coast. We haven't seen Fullerton so far in the Orange Empire Conference struggle to set up their offense as we have seen in this first half.
No, we haven't, but you know what else we're used to seeing, or I guess to keep with the theme of what you're saying, not used to seeing? We're not used to seeing Hayden Kenny not be in the opening 11 of the match. He did come in late to the second half. They did make a couple more runs on goal, a couple shots on goal. Nothing found the back of the net. But it really seems like Misael Gonzalez, Hayden Kenny, maybe that's the 1-2 punch of this Fullerton College football team and their offensive line.
Yeah, and you mentioned Hayden Kenny. He's that secondary scorer for Fullerton who currently is second on the team in scoring overall. But he also presents another threat that the back line of whoever they're going against has to pay attention to. So, yes, it is the scoring. Yes, it is the overall stats that you look at. But you have to look at it from an impact sort of a thing. Just like what we were talking about with Cesar Marquez and with Brian Aragon, it's not necessarily just the stats that you have to look at. You have to look at those 3 guys, Hayden Kenny, Aragon, Cesar Marquez, and how they space the field to give so much open space to Misael Gonzalez.
Yeah, and when Hayden Kenny is not on the field, it's really easy to throw a lot of pressure on Misael Gonzalez. You bring Hayden Kenny into the equation. You have number 1, you have number 2. You kind of have to pick who you're covering. You can't just full cover Misael and think, oh, we're probably good. We'll just smother him. No one else really has found the back of the net too much this season. So, we're willing to take that trade and hope that no one else will get lucky.
Yeah, and when you look at Fullerton College, their offense has been a major key to their success. Their back line, probably even more so. You look at the goals against for Fullerton, under 1.2 to this point in the season. And very simple, like people in the broadcast booth, myself included, that back line has decided to feast on their opponents anytime they go against someone. It just seems like the Fullerton College Hornets back line continues to dominate as the Fullerton College Hornets rely on Sevillano. They rely on Nathan Giles. They rely on Evan Yole. And those 3 guys have been fantastic for them. You can add in Eicherman. You can add in Sherman. You can add in Ramirez. And it just seems like Fullerton defensively continues to get the job done, even when their offense isn't necessarily clicking at all times. As Ryan Marino Rojas has been the goaltender, or goalkeeper, I should say, for the Hornets in this one. And
well, you talk about that back line. The back line was invaluable in this first half. He was up maybe a little bit further than he should have been, being a little cheeky. Got beat in the foot race. Obviously, I don't expect him to backpedal quicker than somebody's running forward, but it was the back line of the Fullerton College defense that came in, were able to kind of give him time to, be honest, scramble and get back into the goal, and that back line is responsible for turning a less than optimal situation into something that ended up not being tragic for the Hornets.
Yeah, and you look at Marino Rojas, you also have to go back to those, we'll call it 2 saves, because the way that it looked like from the broadcast booth, granted, we are about 45 yards away, but the way that it looked like from the broadcast booth is that it looked like he made the initial save that he got surprised on that got through. It looked like it was a screenshot. He picked it up late, but he's able to push it out away from him. But a guy gets in between the back line. And Ryan Marino Rojas keeps himself alive in the situation, squares himself up to the ball, just gets a hand out there. Unofficially, from our standpoint, it looked like he did get just enough of a deflection on it because of how deep that ball was and how quickly it popped up. But if you're looking at it from Fullerton's perspective, it's additional pressure on the guy who's going to take the shot. You're not looking at a wide open frame when you have the attacker who's going in for that second chance. You're looking at it from a sense of, okay, that attacker is coming in trying to get the first goal of the match for Orange Coast College. Specifically, it was Grayson Marquez. Marquez on the left post goes to just essentially dunk this one in. But the moment he looks up, he sees Ryan Marino Rojas diving towards him. And it's something that plays in your mind. Okay, I've got a guy coming towards me as I'm about to take this attempt. You pick up your head a little bit, and by the time you actually look down to get the shot attempt away, it goes off the top of your foot and pops up into the air and goes out of play. So the back line has been there. The goalkeeping has been there. The only thing that hasn't been clicking for Fullerton in this matchup specifically has been the offense. But, Joe, you look at Fullerton and how they've played the last, we'll say month and a half. 11-match unbeaten streak, a 5-game winning streak coming into this one, trying to make it 6 here tonight. Yes, they lead the Orange Empire Conference, but they also pace the entire state of California. This is a team that somehow got better than what they were last year, and last year was also one of the best in Fullerton history in the last 20 years.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned it at the open of this match, Ryan. Fullerton College overall 13-1-1 overall record. Pretty impressive numbers. But then when you look at the stuff, I'm not going to say this doesn't count, but what really counts in conference, 6-0-1. That one draw ended up being the IVC match, I believe. Ended knotted up at, I think, 3-3.
You are correct.
So there's that one loss, but every other match has ended up going in conference for the Hornets.
And you mentioned that you have to wonder if it's going to be something as similar to what men's basketball here at Fullerton College experienced this last year. Had a team that at the time was, I believe, 5-0, 6-0, right around there. They go out to San Bernardino Valley and lose to a top 5 team in the state, if not the nation, right? That San Bernardino Valley matchup was the catalyst and the key to success the rest of the way. Now, we're not going to jinx anything. We're not going to say that this Fullerton College men's soccer program is just going to find themselves all the way, running through the rest of their competition as easily as it seemed like Perry's team did. But you question, was that IVC game just as equally important to this men's football squad as it was San Bernardino Valley to the men's basketball team? That was a turning point for the men's basketball team. We got to talk to the men's basketball team this last week on the Coaches Show, and almost everyone we talked to said that San Bernardino Valley game changed the way that the season was going to go. It played in their mind. They continually said to themselves, we can't let San Bernardino Valley happen again. The question is, does the same type of effect happen to this team with Fullerton College football, where you have that IVC matchup that you mentioned, Joe? They go up 3-0. They're leading at the half, 3-1, and then they give up 2 late ones to end up tying it with less than 10 seconds left in the match. And yes, it's only a draw, but it felt like a loss.
Yeah, and another thing we can look at is this is where we're starting to double back. You mentioned earlier, these teams see each other in conference play twice a year. We look at the first time Fullerton played Orange Coast, ended 4-0 in favor of the Hornets, clean sheet victory there. So now Orange Coast has had some time away from the Hornets at their practice field in their season to try to dial things in. We've talked about how the Hornets team this last year to this year, and then this year, start of the season to where we're at now, them looking like they're continuing to dial in their style of play, how they continue to seem and be a dominant force in the Orange Empire Conference. But obviously, you look at the scoreline of the last game, and Orange Coast is holding them to just 1 goal. Last game, it looked like Fullerton got 2 in the first, 2 in the second. And OEC managed to hold them just to 1 score in this first half.
Yeah, I want to go back to what you were just mentioning there, Joe. It's funny you mentioned that, because you look at an Orange Empire or an OCC team that, like you mentioned, dropped a 4-0 decision to Fullerton earlier this year. Facing a team on film versus facing a team in person those are 2 completely different things. You may get as much scouting as you would like. You can get as much film as you like against a team in your conference and think to yourself, okay, we're as prepared as we possibly can be. You go out there and it's a completely different animal. Yes, you can be prepared. Yes, you can anticipate things. Yes, you can have that studying. But when you get a chance to play a team like Fullerton College in person, it sets your expectations and it sets what you need to do to improve on in practice and also game plan for the second meeting.
Yeah, and it looks like OCC managed to do that. Let's see how they come out of the half. Fullerton's up 1-0. You go back to their last 3 games, all of them clean sheets.
Mm-hmm.
Golden West, you mentioned their win streak that they're on. Golden West 3-0, Cypress 4-0, Santiago Canyon 2-0. Fullerton College is, if we want to be optimists here and root for the home team, halfway on their way to another clean sheet victory.
And the question is, how do they close? Because that's what, and we keep harping on this IVC matchup. You see the IVC game, how they finish that one out. They give up 2 late, 1 with mere seconds on the clock. But you see the improvement that the team has from week to week. Because after that, the next Futbol Friday that we saw and the one after that, the next 2 games here at home, we saw them close out matches solid. They weren't giving up chances. In fact, in the second half, they were out-chancing their opponent nearly double compared to what we saw in that IVC matchup. It's about growth, like Coach Greg Aviles will tell you if you get the opportunity to talk to him. It's about growth from one game to another. And the growth that Fullerton College experienced was all about how they were able to close games out following that matchup. And in the last 2 times that we have seen them here at home, and also statistically on the schedule and results, they've done exactly that. They've improved on their closing. So it's going to be interesting to see in the back half of this one.
Yeah, and I mean, when they played Cuyamaca, when they played IVC, they got ahead early, and it felt like they kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit. What I haven't noticed them doing versus Saddleback, versus Cypress, and we'll see what happens today versus Orange Coast, is those last 2 home games that we saw, they kept the pressure up. They kept that intensity. They kept the opposing team playing at their tempo. And when you keep somebody playing at your tempo or your style of whatever sport it is, soccer, football, basketball, volleyball, whatever, you're making them play your game. And so it's harder for them to execute whatever their game plan is because they have to adjust themselves to the tempo that you're making them play at.
And speaking of adjusting things and tempo and getting things set up, as we get set for this second half, once you get back here in just a second, we're going to have you talk about an event that will be taking place at Fullerton College coming up in the next few days. As Fullerton College, it's not just all about the sports at Fullerton. We've got a lot of events going on at KBPK and Fullerton College as we look at the next week in preparation beyond this second half. We look at Dia de los Muertos, which is going to be not just a big thing on campus, Joe, but also at KBPK.
I'd say beyond even just KBPK. All across FC Hornet Media. Looks like we're going to have the magazine, the newspapers potentially going to be out there with the KBPK students. We'll have some of the 235 class out there with you and Mark Pavlovich. I will be off in vacation land. So you guys enjoy the festivities extra because I won't be there, so you guys need to make it feel like I'm there. We've got that. And then I believe next Friday, once again, is Futbol Friday. You and I think Corey Nayland are going to be out here.
You are very correct.
And I think that's it next week. Slow week compared to this week for you guys.
You know, it was an interesting time on Wednesday to have Water Polo Wednesdays joined by women's volleyball. And then now we have Futbol Fridays. But it's going to be not just interesting, not just intriguing, not just educational, but it's going to be a full-on learning experience coming up on Thursday night where we have Dia de los Muertos here at Fullerton College as Misa is going to go into a little battle on the near side. It looks like he was battling Meyer Sod.
Actually, I might make your week a little more busy next week, Ryan. I think the next exhibit at the FC Art Gallery, I think, opens up next Thursday as well, potentially.
You know what? That's the type of busy that we like to hear, though, because we love going out to the art gallery as there's a lot of ability for everyone to learn about not just the city of Fullerton, but the region overall and what different art is coming out from Southern California, from Fullerton College, from La Habra. There's a lot of local artists and even famous artists who had their beginning here. And also the staff, the faculty, each get different selections from their last exhibit to choose something that means something to them. We saw them have a lot of different selections from their own personal mentors in the world of art. And it's so informational. It's so enveloping to be able to go to those exhibits and just see, hey, every single piece here that you're looking at was not only hand chosen, but it has a lot of meaning behind it personally to each and every person in that program. Here's a chance. Marino Rojas cuts it down, and he will clear it all the way towards midfield.
It's also interesting to see the themes that they pick, from signs to the most recent one being just almost felt like whatever we have out back. The entirety of the Fullerton College Art Gallery, Art Department collection, however you want to phrase that, there you go.
The permanent collection
was up for grabs to be displayed to show, like you were saying, people's mentors, people who've come through the program, and what they had done. So, it will be interesting, seeing as we haven't touched base with them recently, to what the theme of this event is. Are they going to pick something spooky because of the season? Are they going to do something to tie it in with Dia de los Muertos? It's going to be interesting. I'm sure all you guys are going to have fun next week.
Here's Misa. Misa with a chance on the inside to Kenny. That ball gets taken away from Cesar Marquez and cleared. But the fun continues at KBPK. That ball actually ended up going out, so it will be a goal kick coming up. But if you are watching online and you would like all of this content that we're talking about, we ask you to please continue to follow us here on our YouTube page. We got a lot of live events coming up, pre-recorded events coming up, and a lot of just overall informational pieces coming up as well. Like you just heard from Joe a few moments ago, the art gallery will be having their opening. Dia de los Muertos is going to be a big one for us. If it is live, we will let everyone know ahead of time via our social media pages and also here on the YouTube as well. It will be scheduled. If not, we will make sure that everyone understands that we're going to have a long interview piece in addition to a feature with all the different artists that will be over at Dia de los Muertos. It's so much fun to experience that type of event as that ball goes out on the far side of the pitch. But it's so much fun to be able to talk to the different people at Dia de los Muertos, because you talk to the dancers and understand what each dance means to them, what each dance signifies overall. You understand what the music from the musicians means to the event, what it means to the person individually, what it means to their family's heritage. And then you also talk to the people who set up the event in and of itself. Here's Hayden Kenny on the attack. He's trying to get it over to Misael Gonzalez. It gets cleared away, and Fullerton will take over. But even the people who organize the event incorporate their own family values, their own ancestry, their own experiences with Dia de los Muertos across their family heritage. And they put that in so that way it gives just a little bit more feeling, a little bit more touch to this event. This is cleared up near the end line. Does it go past? It will be a corner kick coming out for Fullerton. So the Hornets get their 5th corner of the game in the early stages of this second half. But stay with us here on the YouTube page. Stay with us on our Instagram page. Again, if you're watching here online, you don't really have to go very far to find the YouTube page. You are currently on it. Go ahead and subscribe to us so that way you can get those updates on the art exhibitions and also Dia de los Muertos, in addition to even more Fullerton College football, which is coming up later on next week. And if you want to be more Instagram savvy, as this is a liner right down the middle, it will stay inside the box. A chance, no hand there. Hand, actually, it does go off the arm, but the official says it was not an unnatural position, so it will not be a handball for Fullerton on the inside of the box. But if you're a little bit more Instagram savvy, we would like to invite you to our Instagram page, 90.1 KBPK. Once again, that is at 90.1 KBPK. Lots of different things coming up here on KBPK. And speaking of coming up, here are the Pirates. Pirates on the attack. There's a shot that gets deflected away. Will it actually be deflected in judgment? It will not. And it's a goal kick coming up for Orange Coast College.
You know, I'm a big advocate for those shots. You take them outside of the 18, but when you just kind of float them up and over the goal, I understand you got to keep the goalie on, or the keeper on their toes, but it just feels like a wasted opportunity.
Well, you mentioned that, Joe. You look at the type of shot he was trying to go for there. He's trying to get the front part of his foot around the ball a little bit more so he can get more of a curve, more of a spin onto that, get it around the defender and back on frame. But the issue with that, Joe, is that if you're doing that in stride, you're susceptible to your foot getting underneath the ball and it pops it up over top of the actual goalposts. So the chance is there, but it's a question of how well are you able to execute it while going full sprint.
Once again, like Ryan said, thank you to everybody tuning in for Futbol Fridays.
We appreciate each and every person who watches us here on Futbol Fridays, joins us for each of those pieces we talked about earlier. And if you would like to, let us know where you're watching from. Let us know where you're listening from as we're online, as Aragon is there along with Ruiz. That goes out, and it will be a Fullerton College throw-in. But we love to hear from our listeners, not just here on the YouTube page, but also on our Instagram, and then also online. If you like the TuneIn app, you go to TuneIn, you listen to KBPK as we have the best music, the best variety going at all times. And Joe, we even have some special programming on KBPK when you're looking for something to chill with in the car.
Yeah, we even have, you go on, if you're a podcast kind of person, we're talking about our YouTube page. The Coaches Show is on the YouTube page. But, if maybe that's not enough for you, check out our podcast feed for The Coaches Show. Easiest to find us by searching FC Hornet Media. You'll get The Coaches Show as well as a variety. Some would call it the best variety of podcasts produced over here by FC Hornet Media, whether it's news from the Hornet, Fullerton College's very own news publication, or more stuff from us here at KBPK.
Back post. Bumps over. Here's a chance. It goes up into the air and kept across the goal line by Guillen. Almost on what we would call a broken play there for Fullerton College, but they nearly capitalize on it. And OCC with Guillen is able to get away.
That felt like he was trying to kind of cheekily chip the goalkeeper.
I think that was what his intent was, Joe. But as Marquez tries to get it over towards Misa and Kenny, they both kind of throw their arms into the air. But I think that's what his intent was, but it went off the top of his boot and just kind of backspun its way and popped into the awaiting arms of the goalkeeper in Guillen. OCC trying to get it out of their own end of the field. There's Marquez off the top of his toe. It goes to Sevillano. Sevillano now to the middle of the park over to Giles. Giles has to turn around from it. Good to see him back into the lineup. We've mentioned him a couple of times. As Misa will get it on the turn. Misa takes a shot. It's kicked away. Guillen is there. His positioning solid, and he's able to read it well and keep that one from going in. It's the third shot of the game for Misa, and all three have been saved. Foul against Fullerton, far side of the park.
Now here on Futbol Fridays, we're seeing the Hornets having a great season. And I know you and the lads over at sportsnetusa.net are covering Gridiron, the other kind of football here at Fullerton College, and that team as well is having a pretty darn good season.
Yeah, you mentioned that 6-0 record to this point. They will have a home game tomorrow at 12 p.m. right here at House Scherbeck Field. 6-0 record, and to say that they have looked very good in doing so, I think would be an understatement, especially if you're looking at it from the defensive side of the ball. Fullerton College defense has been very near dominant, if not flat out unbelievable at times, in keeping that program in games all the time. The offense at times, we've seen them have great moments, and we've seen them have moments where, they need to get a little bit more of a rhythm going, like we saw at San Diego Mesa. But it's all a matter of how well they're able to become one team at the same time. And we know that that's a cliche. Everyone has to be a cohesive unit. Practice makes perfect.
Defense wins games.
Defense wins games. Got to take it one game at a time, one snap at a time. But when they do have each and every aspect of the game, special teams, as this is going to be a turnover off to the right-hand side. Here's Marquez. Marquez on the inside, takes a shot. That goes wide. It's a corner kick coming up for Orange Coast College, but just another chance for Floresta Damiano to get his team on the board, and he is doing everything in his power to get them to at least level. It goes wide of the frame after the parry away by Marino Rojas, and a corner kick coming up.
Talk about defense wins games. You could tell from his body position after that got body blocked away. He felt like he had that Hornet backline, that Hornet defense dead to rights, and they just caught up to him.
They did. And the back line, one thing that's special about the back line is how well they're able to manage their hip positioning and keep their opponents at bay by using their momentum against them. This would have been offsides if Damiano would have caught up to it. Excuse me, that would have been Brady Powell. And Powell will have to watch on as Marino Rojas will kick this one away. Goes all the way up to Hayden Kenny. Looks like it goes off the shoulder of one. Pops away from Meyer Sod. And it will end up on the foot of Ruben Rivera. Rivera tried to switch sides. He'll find Yole. But Yole will bring it back to Eicherman. Eicherman, one touch. Now to Giles. Giles to Marquez. And Marquez says, I've had enough of it on this side of the park. Let's poke it all the way over to Rivera. Rivera with Sherman. He's trying to get away from traffic, and he does. Release a little bit of the pressure with Sevillano. Sevillano on the back pedal. He'll give chase along with Giles. Giles dribbles this one over to his left. Gets it back. Two touch from Kenny. Fullerton playing a lot of that tiki-taka if they can convert on it, but Omar Ruiz has that go too far out in front of him, and it will go out for a throw-in. Lots of short passes, quick touches for the Hornets as they try and get themselves ahead in the park without having to do all too much with the time. As Kyle Sherman is going to be subbed off, and coming in for him will be Carlos Toral. Toral high up into the air with Sevillano. Sevillano off the header. He's going to have to backtrack for it, and he will see it go away now to Giles. Giles, half-tapper. Ruiz gets it past two. Here's Eicherman. Eicherman, one-on-one against Landon Clark. Clark is able to get him away from open space over towards the corner. Ruiz on a dead sprint gets caught up there, and it gets taken away by Serrato, I believe. Excuse me, that is Floresta Damiano. So Damiano going from one side of the pitch to the other to make his presence known. He would have been offsides there a few moments ago. And we've got a whistle on the left-hand side as two different guys hit the deck. Nathan Giles, along with Hayden Kenny, having a conversation with the Fullerton College bench. Coach Aviles will watch on as that ends up going against Giles, and he will have to step off for just a shade. Kyle Sherman will run on for him. Injury substitution, so the substitution can come in immediately without having to wait for a check-in. Under 28 minutes to play. Final 30 of this one. High into the air. Now headed away. All the way past the touchline right side. And if Orange Coast is going to get into it, Joe, they've got to be able to create a lot more time of possession in the Fullerton College attacking half.
Yeah, you can't score without having the ball. And that's kind of a key component of trying to find the back of the net. So, yeah.
1-0 Fullerton College. They lead it over. They lead it over Orange Coast. Marino Rojas watching on, goes off of a shoulder of one. Ruiz is able to get it off of his right foot and get it away. Marquez can't quite catch up to it, and it goes to Misa. Misa up to Kenny, and it's poked out in front. A nice job there by Saito And Saito does well to cut that off. Otherwise, that would have been free and clear there for Hayden Kenny. And a foul against Omar Ruiz will give Orange Coast another chance here.
You know what, Ryan? We were talking about all the Fullerton College sports, as we tend to do on these broadcasts. We mentioned the other football happening on this field tomorrow. Didn't mention where the gentle viewer at home watching us on YouTube can catch that game. So that would be on the Full Call Athletics YouTube page, and that game will be presented by, not us at KBPK, some people attached to the program here at Fullerton College, though. That would be sportsnetusa.net. We'll be bringing that game and streaming it to the Fullerton College Athletics YouTube page. So if you want to catch the other kind of football tomorrow, kickoff is, what do you say, noon,
12
Ryan?
p.m. Yes, sir. And it will be, here's what's special about tomorrow's game. It's the blue-gold game. So that means that the Fullerton College Hornets will be in their all-gold uniforms with Swarm City across the chest. And they've got some navy blue numerals to add to it. Looks like a harken back to the old days of Fullerton College football with Hal Scherbeck and his staff back in that 1983 squad that had those gold uniforms. So Fullerton College, blue-gold game tomorrow against Palomar. There's a shot there, a chance for Orange Coast. Quick setup, and Arcega, 5'6" freshman out of Los Amigos High School, very nearly gets Orange Coast on the board.
I think if he would have sent that in there with a little more oomph, a little bit more authority on that ball, maybe if he got a better piece of it, I think that ball would have a little bit more heat and maybe would have posed a bit more of a threat.
I think, Joe, when you're looking at that specific chance, I'm not sure he thought that ball was going to end up to him, because the way that it was kind of bouncing around across three different people, it more ended up at his feet rather than a set up to his feet, if that makes sense. And by the time he lets that shot go, it was more of a let's just get this on net and see what we can do with it rather than a set play. Bicycle kick attempt there. And it's not going to go. Trying to draw a foul on the inside was Orange Coast. They don't end up getting it.
I think it's a little hard to draw a foul when you're trying to be fancy like that.
You like to see players who do think out of the box, though, because too often you'll see guys try and settle that down, try and turn the corner. But Orange Coast needs some offense here, and they're trying to get that any way they can off of a volley on the right-hand side. It's going to go all the way near the corner. It doesn't have enough to get out of play, and Marino Rojas says, well, let me help with that. And he sends it out for a throw-in. Under 25 to play. If you're watching online, you see the clock for Fullerton College showing 1-0. The Hornets lead it. Near side post. The spacing was there. As here's another chance. That's going to go too far for Damiano. And Damiano will have to watch as a goal kick comes up.
Now we're seeing Orange Coast put on some pressure. Fullerton College doesn't seem to be having a hard time to adjust it, I guess we could say. Still, that back line seems composed. Must have listened to you, though, Ryan. They're trying to get those minutes of controlling the ball in.
And that's honestly the way, if you're Orange Coast, that's going to be the route to success for you. Here into the corner side, it will be swung over near the end line. Nice job of keeping it in play was Sevillano. And the Hornets are able to move forward for a second, but Arcega takes it back. Arcega on his left foot. Arcega trying to move towards his dominant leg, but just gets that one tapped away by Eicherman and Yole. Slide tackle there. The challenge presented by the Hornets, and they pick it up and move it up the park. Got a guy now. Off the touch, it goes to Marquez. Marquez sees that one nearly turned over by Thomas Gomez. A quick run, right-hand side, Devin LeClaire. LeClaire trying to leave it to his left, but just puts a shade too much on it. The chance was there, Joe, because two different Orange Coast Pirates would have had a 2-on-1 if that ball just doesn't go too hard off the right foot.
It looks like he just didn't place it where he wanted to. He had the net that he could have shot at. He had a player he could have passed to. And it looked like unintentionally he kind of split the difference between the two.
Well, it's kind of a, what's the word we've been using all semester? Decisivity moment there is you got to be able to in stride pick up exactly which one you want to go with. It was that half in between of striking it towards the back post and then also laying it out there for the teammate, as Damiano is actually on the carpet there. He ends up finding himself with a knock for a moment, but with 21-25 showing on the clock there, it's Fullerton College 1, Orange Coast 0. So we come to the final stages of this one, coming up with 20 minutes left or so and change. That doesn't include additional time as well. But Fullerton College, as we have mentioned, they currently are on a 5-match win streak, trying to make it 6, and an 11-match unbeaten streak that they're looking to not only continue, but they have the best unbeaten streak in the state of California to this point, and want to expand on that and keep themselves as the #1 team in California. Of course, Oxnard came into this one rated as the #1 team. Of course, national championship, state championship last year gives them that right as Misa turns the ball over. But he may get it back in a second. It's tipped off of him. It's going to go towards the line. Marquez tries to get up to it. Does he get there in time? There's no whistle yet, and there it is. The flag flies far side corner, and it will be a goal kick coming up. But Oxnard came into the season with the #1 ranking in the CCCAA, or the 3C2A, as they have more changed stylistically to this year.
3C2A, you couldn't have done something catchier like the triple C double A?
Hey, I'm merely repeating what's on the website now. But the 3C2A had Oxnard as #1 and Fullerton College in the top 4. But Oxnard with the championship last year. Fullerton, what we always heard from everyone around the program and in Southern California last year is that if there was one team that was going to be trouble, it was going to be Oxnard. And that's exactly what happened. They win the state championship, and now Fullerton College is in the enviable position of being that team that everyone looks at and says, if there's going to be one team that's going to cause problems, it is this Fullerton College Hornet squad.
You know, as we get deeper and deeper into the season, we've talked about this a little bit before, it's great to see them continuing to improve and, you know, knock on wood here, staying mostly injury-free, because the deeper into the season you go, it's just more wear and tear on that human machine, your body.
That's one thing that's also interesting, too, when you look at where the Hornets play now as opposed to where they played before. We talked to Misael Gonzalez on the Coaches Show a few weeks back. Kind of asked him, what are the benefits of playing at Hal Scherbeck Field now with the renovations done? And he said, it's a lot more predictable to be able to understand the field, what bounces you're going to get. Here's Eicherman. Eicherman to his right foot. That's deflected away. A corner kick coming up from the left-hand side. And it remains 1-0 Fullerton College, but they are trying to change that.
You know, as well as the bounces and the track of the ball being a little bit more predictable, like Misael told you. You know what else is nice? These night games. Because without that,
fantastic.
They probably would have been playing at about 3 o'clock today. And it was both uncharacteristically and rudely warm for a day this late in October.
Speaking of bicycles, just the turnaround there by Misa. Didn't look like he thought that ball was coming to him. Just a shade behind it. and he will see it pop up over top of the goal, a goal kick coming up. But like you mentioned, it gives you the chance to play at a different time, and it's a benefit to the Fullerton College program because it's like we would always hear when you, Mark, and myself would walk out to different practices for teams that are going to play the game of gridiron, as Joe calls it. But we would always hear advantages to playing a 12 o'clock game or a 2 o'clock game, being that if a team practices at that time, it's always an advantage to the team to play those games on Saturdays because of how warm it does get in Southern California during September and October. So you get those advantages of catching the other team playing at a different time than what their bodies are used to, than what they're used to mentally as well. And for Fullerton and this football program, now you get a chance to play at 6 p.m. It's a night game, and other teams who are maybe not used to playing under the lights and haven't done so since their high school days or even since their travel days now get a chance to come out here. They have to adjust to the lighting. They have to adjust to a different warm-up time. They have to change their game day routine as well. So it's not just the on-the-field action, but it's also all the circumstances surrounding as well that help out Fullerton College and here at House Scherbeck Field.
Just adjust to the use of grayscale.
That too. Chance for the Pirates as they try and get themselves back into this one with a goal. Orange Coast sitting with 15.5 on the clock in regulation time. That does not include additional time. So that's just regulation, and they're trying to chase one.
So 15 in regulation is what, a OEC 20?
That's usually what we go with, yes. And especially since we've had a couple of stoppages for injury, as Nathan Giles will hop back on and Kyle Sherman will take a seat. But that is usually what we end up seeing is the OEC 5, as I believe I told Mark, was it last week, 2 weeks ago? One of those two? 2 weeks ago. It's the OEC 5 that we're very used to where you get those stoppages. It's almost 9 times out of 10 going to end up being an additional 5 added to the clock at the end of the matchup. All the way into the left-hand corner. 1-0 Fullerton College with the lead. Just under 15 minutes left in regulation time. Giles, high up near the penalty marker. It's still around, and does it touch anyone? It did not. Joe, that went into the traffic of like 23 different guys and came away without touching a single player and goes across the end line for a goal kick.
Listen, they're all like Neo from the Matrix. They know Kung Fu.
Sevillano moves it forward. Sevillano in the clear is Misa, and it's just out in front of him. He saw a passing lane and tried to take advantage of it, but wisely getting to it beforehand is Guillen, and he'll drop it down now for Brady Powell. Powell looking for Son. Now to Damiano. Damiano working against Sevillano, and I think Joe is talking about dangerously close to the broadcast. That one gets cleared up into the air. And the difference this time, Joe, is that both you and I are ready to clear the ball away as opposed to previous years. Here's Courtney.
Ooh.
Goes off of Courtney, and it goes out.
That sounded like it had a sting.
And from that close, too, it's kind of difficult to be able to get out of the way of that reaction-wise, as Landon Clark is going to throw this one in. Courtney right in front of him. Off the knee, goes back over to Clark. Clark's going to have to box someone out in Courtney. And it goes now to Damiano right at the line. Damiano now with Duenas, gets bodied away from it. In front to Yoel. Off the back foot, it goes now to Misa. Misa gets it taken away from him. Studs are up on that one. The leg is up on that one, excuse me. Those are two very different things. Studs, of course, being at the bottom of the boot. Once you start getting those up and trying to bring the ball down with it, that's where you start seeing cards come out. But in that situation, just the foot is a little bit high for Orange Coast, and it will end up being floated into the air. Here's Thomas Gomez. He's going to see this one up, spin away, and it goes past the end line. It's the corner kick for Fullerton. If I'm not mistaken, off of my unofficial count, that should be number 7 for the Hornets. And Garrett Eicherman will take it once more. So everyone looking to crash. It's Gomez, Sevillano, Marquez, Misa, all in there. To the back post it goes. It's still up for grabs, and it will be cleared away and kept in successfully. Nice job of defending there by the Pirates. Landon Clark was there to clear it away, and he did so successfully. Kirkman also there to help out. Here's Misa right down Broadway. He takes a shot, and it is going to roll its way past the goal line and out. Goal kick coming up with 11 on the clock exactly in regulation time. The 89th minute of play between Fullerton College and Orange Coast. Fullerton College trying to hang on here and get their 6th win in a row and their 12th in this unbeaten streak. Orange Coast on the other side trying to take their winning streak to 3. And if they do that, they would take down one of the best teams in the entire country. There's a chance. Is it going to be a foul? It is indeed, and it's just outside the box. I'm not sure you can get any closer to the box itself and the 18-yard marker than that. As the training staff, athletic training staff, excuse me, is going to go out and check on the student athlete. But with just a shade over 10 minutes left in regulation, that ball is mere inches away from being inside the box.
Once again, this is where we see late minutes of a second half where a play like this might come back to bite the Hornets.
We saw it against Cuyamaca. We saw it against IVC. Both times, like you mentioned, Joe, it was set pieces with less than 10 minutes left.
Obviously, we have a student-athlete down. Me personally, from up here in the broadcast booth, I couldn't quite tell what transpired. I saw them get a little shovey. I saw the stiff arm come from look like one of the Orange Coast players. The Fullerton player cleared the area, and then he took another step or two and went down. So I'm not exactly sure why this foul should have been called, because it seems like the aggression came from the Orange Coast side, and then he lost his balance.
So that's what's interesting about this play is, to me, it looked like they, like you mentioned, the initial contact was there by the Orange Coast player, and we'll get you who that is in just a few moments. Looks like it's a little bit of cramping on that far side of the field. As Lorena goes out there, we love our athletic training staff and all of our co-heads of the athletic training staff here at Fullerton College. The best in California, the best in the United States. We got a chance to actually talk to Lorena and also multiple people on their staff. One thing that we appreciate about them at all times is the fact that they know these athletes by name. It's not just a, oh yeah, you know, it's number 7 on the soccer roster. It's number 11 on the men's basketball team. It's number 23 on the football team. They know these student athletes by name, and they make sure to take care of them as best as possible. But going back to that play that Joe and I were talking about, to me it looked like they lock legs a little bit. Yes, the initial contact is made by the Orange Coast player, but Joe, the reason why they call that is because the defender for Fullerton College prevents him from making a natural move to his left. And that's where that foul call comes in, is because it's not necessarily just the contact, it's the fact that he was prevented from making a traditional run through his position, and that is where the foul call comes in.
I think you call that part of the game. If there wouldn't have been contact there, he could have stopped that run. I guess it's up to the ref's call. It's almost like a pass interference in the NFL, right? It's the mood and what the ref on the field or even the sideline judges call and how they define it in their head.
It's pace of play, it's judgment, it's also interpretation as well, and just the overall aspect of the game. What is the personality that this match has at the current moment? And if it calls for a foul, if it calls for that whistle to end up being blown, that's at the discretion of the head official, as the student athlete will end up being helped up off the field. And once we know a little bit more, we will pass it along to everyone at home. Clock's still running, as you can see on the broadcast. We do not, as a general rule here on KBPK, we do not put the camera onto the injured student athlete, as we feel that it is a lot more, we'll say, graceful to be able to take the camera off, let them have their own opportunity to talk to the athletic training staff and be able to get them more communication. There's no need to spotlight anything there, as that is a chance for the athletic training staff to help a student athlete get themselves back into full form. Just a few moments ago, let know that that was Devin LeClaire who ends up hitting the deck for Orange Coast. We wish him all the best and health, as Orange Coast is going to be on the attack here off the set piece. A chance, it just goes over top of the frame. You cannot get any closer to scoring on a set piece than that for Ethan Larson.
Great prediction from the keeper over here at the Hornets side. We've got Ryan Moreno Rojas, who just, as I look at my stat sheet and forget about my camera, pretty much predicted that perfectly. Got into placement. Even if that would have been a little bit more on target, looks like he would have boxed it out.
Moreno Rojas, as we mentioned earlier, already had a, we'll call it, game-saving save that has helped Fullerton College maintain a 1-0 advantage. But Orange Coast is on the attack. They are trying to get themselves at least level in this one. Legs locked up on the far side. Orange Coast not thrilled with the call there, but it does end up with Fullerton College. They want to work fast. Misa getting marked. You see the beautiful textbook defense played by the back line of Orange Coast, and they force an offsides. Joe, you cannot play that any better than all three of those guys did for Orange Coast, because Misael Gonzalez sees a lining ball go over towards his direction, and what Orange Coast does is they put one guy directly off of each hip for Misael Gonzalez, and the third guy goes after the ball, and Misa can't get around them because of the two guys that are right nearby. Throw in for Fullerton College, far side of the park. It's Hayden Kenny. Drop down by Damiano. Damiano, left-hand side. It's a foot race. Nathan Giles picks it up, turns the ball smoothly right to the awaiting foot of Kenny, but it doesn't connect. And now Damiano has a little give and go. Far side of the pitch, he'll find Steven Garcia. Garcia doesn't see that one go out, and both of these two teams kind of pinball it back and forth. We're coming up on stoppage time. Our theory was 5 minutes, but it may be more due to the injury stoppage. Here's Kenny now to Misa. And Guillen reads it well and is able to anticipate where the point of attack is and cut it right off. It remains 1-0 as the goalkeeper from Orange Coast in Guillen is able to sniff out that chance and take it away.
That was some great work on the keeper over there. It's, again, we kind of talk about, or I've talked about, it's that weird juxtaposition as a keeper. Do you stay back in the goal? Do you rush them? Are you going to cut off an angle? And he did more than cut off an angle. He went straight for his feet and the ball and just stopped that attack.
Chance for Larson. Finally kicked out. Fullerton has a chance to hurry if they want to. All the way up for Misa. Misa has to slow it down, though. He's got a one-on-one chance. He bobbles the ball. Haven't necessarily seen the cleanest of games now from Misa as we have in the past, but I think that's more of a testament to how well the back line for Orange Coast has done in this one than anything. Misa gets marked there by Jack Chapman, and Chapman has been putting in some work on this right side of the back line for the Pirates.
So we talked about the OEC 5. You mentioned we're coming up on stoppage time. Think we're going to see it because of that pause in play that we had earlier, closer to maybe 10 minutes?
I think we'll be seeing 7 or 8, if I had to guess. That is just my thought process. 2 minutes on the clock left in regulation, which means we haven't reached the stoppage time yet. We'll get word on that in a minute. The unofficial broadcast clock starting as soon as that scoreboard stopped. Throw in coming up in a moment for Bradley Kirkman.
Giving himself plenty of runway.
Just an extra chance to get that one directly into the box, not have to waste time and have a threat of turning the ball over. Now it's on the inside. Now to Larson. Larson just pokes it past Brady Powell. And Powell raises his hands to his head as he had a chance there on the back bump. Heavy pressure on the kick there for Orange Coast. Hugo Galeana gets that one tapped away. Brady Powell into contact with him, and we may see more time on the clock added as well, as it is Galeana who ends up hitting the deck for Fullerton College. Athletic training staff is called over. And dashing on in is Cesar Marquez for Galeana. Little scooter over to Kenny. Kenny gets boxed out on that. Now it goes back to Duenas. Duenas on the inside. Nathan Giles kicks that away. It will be deflected out, and a corner kick coming up. 2 minutes have gone by. We are now with all 90 gone. Listening in for the additional time to be added. No official announcement here.
On and on the game goes. When it stops, Ryan and I don't know.
Limericks, lyrics, and rhymes here on KBPK. Up into the air. Off the clearance. Back booted over to Aragon. Fullerton trying to go back onto the attack. They're trying to add to their 1-0 advantage. Eicherman. High chopper. Finds Duenas. Duenas sees it kicked away from him, and now it goes over to Saif. Saif with the chance to go against Yol, and he gets the ball back, but Orange Coast doesn't have the same speed. A chance on the left-hand side, slid away by Sevillano. OCC with a beautiful offensive chance on this right side, moving and flowing to that left-hand side of the park, and Sevillano is able to find it.
That slide tackle was so beautiful. He came in and pickpocketed that man.
It was right there for the taking, and Sevillano times that really well, Joe. He's already anticipating where that pass is going to find itself. The Orange Coast will see this spun away. These teams play catch. It goes to Saif. Saif trying to pop one past Sevillano. Can't do it successfully. Jack Chapman now with Hayden Kenny. Kenny on his right foot. Kenny has a lot of open space. He finds Misa. Misa leaves it back for Chapman as Chapman takes over, and it will not end up going out. OCC thought that that one had gone out of bounds. Now here is Marquez. It's cleared from him. Back and forth they go. Neither team able to really get full advantage here. Run coming up. Takedown. No call coming. Aragon with Marquez. Marquez now for Misa. Misa wants to move to his right foot. He's got two guys. Little poker over to Marquez, and it's cleared away again. Fullerton saying, hey, we're not going to sit back and let OCC try and get themselves back into it. They're getting some offensive chances. Swung over towards the right. It's Eicherman. Saif can't catch up to it. Native of Cairo sees that one popped up. Sorry, Joe.
I was just going to say, that's what we talked about at the half, is Fullerton College, when they've been the most successful in the second half, is when they haven't let off on the gas. OCC had...
Here's Misa, a chance. Fullerton scores. The insurance marker is scored 3 minutes past the 90-minute mark, 93rd minute, and it will go over to Quintana. As Juan Luis Quintana, the freshman out of Tustin, is able to get the insurance goal, and Fullerton College now leads it 2-0. And Joe, in effect, Fullerton has put a seal on this one.
Yeah, and what you really need to say, what Orange Coast has done, proven, earned, is keeping the Hornets down at one of the lowest scoring games that they've had throughout this season. And that's a feat in and of itself. To hold them to that score till what ended up being almost the closing minutes of the game. Like you said, Fullerton put that second one up, closed out the game 2-0. They're now 4 clean sheets in a row, and they're up to a, what was it, undefeated streak?
A 12.
12.
Looking at 12 now. It's a 12-game unbeaten streak for Fullerton College. They win it 2-0 here. The goal scorers in this one for Fullerton College, Cesar Marquez in the 21st to take the lead. And then in the 93rd minute, Fullerton College gets the sealing marker by Juan Luis Quintana. That's going to do it for us here tonight. We thank you all for joining us here on KBPK. Don't forget, we've mentioned it before, and we're going to mention it again. Join us for Dia de los Muertos coming up on Thursday. We've got a lot of content coming up in this week. That starts on Monday all the way through Friday, where we will have our next Futbol Friday live on the air on KBPK. For Joseph Pavlenko, I am Ryan Osborn, thanking you for joining us. You have been watching Fullerton College Soccer on Futbol Fridays on KBPK, where the Hornets win 2-0.